Welcome to Ion Franchising, where you will learn the A to Z's of franchising. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another great episode of Ion Franchising. I'm your host, Lance Graulich. Today, I have two special guests. You already knew I would have two special guests, and here they are. Let's go with the intro. I wrote some notes here so I don't mess it up. First gentleman, out of college, he was a marketing rep, and like many people, we talk often about the nature versus nurture argument. How do people get into entrepreneurship? This gentleman realized there's got to be a better way, got to be a better life. Entrepreneurship is probably a better path for him. What if we brought a level of sophistication to the commercial cleaning business? Well, he started One Source. That was the original name, One Source. I forgot that because it's 1993. Later became Corporate Cleaning Group. So I want to welcome to the show the founder, owner, and COO of Corporate Cleaning. We have Len, I never know how to say it, but I'll try it. Yakuber, Len Yakuber.
You got it. You nailed it. Way to go, Lance. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Len. Thank you so much for being here.
Super excited to be here. And I have to say, I'm a rookie at the podcast. So it's my first time out. So excited about it.
It's so awesome having you. Thank you so much. And next up, boy, so Len and this gentleman joined forces in 2003. It's a little secret about that, I'll tell you, as to way prior to that. And Corporate Cleaning Group opened their second location in Kansas then. And this gentleman, Devin, reached his goal of being the largest cleaning service contractor for churches in Kansas. And by the way, still holds the cleaning contract for the largest church in North America. He's in charge of sales and marketing and franchise development for Corporate Cleaning Group. He's the CEO and also an owner of Corporate Cleaning Group, Devin Dollar. Welcome, Devin.
Thanks, Lance. Really excited to be here.
So happy to have you both. All right, guys. So here's the secret I was going to reveal. You guys have known each other. You've been best friends since you're 14.
14 years old, if you can believe it. Met as freshmen in high school. And what we didn't even tell you, Lance, is then I think it was 15. I met his wife first, and then he met his wife next when we were 15. So,
wow. So you guys are close.
Yes, it's a horrible combation. It's a horrible combination.
She is not impressed with us at all. We've known her for a long time.
I will say it's tough to go on business trips and say you were busy with her around.
I love it. So tell us about the whole story. Okay, you're best friends since you're 14. Len, you founded the brand way back in 1993, a different name at the time. What did you say to Devin at that point? Like, hey, I'm starting this, got this itch for entrepreneurship. Give me the backstory, Len, and then we'll hear Devin's version.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just, real quickly, when I was, going to college, I actually had some touches real early on with the cleaning industry, but I was also going to school for business. So I had this opportunity to go with as a manufacturer rep, which I did. And things were going awesome with that company, and so well, in fact, that I ended up taking a promotion to Grand Rapids, which at this point, Devin had moved to Grand Rapids. Okay, wow. So we met and this would have been like probably 89, 90. And as you said, we met as 14-year-olds, which was 1984, went to high school together. He went off to school. I stayed locally to go to school, but he ended up in Grand Rapids, which is where I was taking this position, was in Grand Rapids. So which was perfect. You have your great friend that lives there, and and so what I ended up doing is I was commuting back and forth until I actually moved there.
Gotcha.
So him and I were connected even then. I would stay the night at his house periodically as I'm working. But to get to your question, or the answer is, although I was doing really well and it had been 10 years that I had built the business, I was aware of my skill set. And I also was very much aware of his skill set. And so it really was a perfect match because our core values and who we are and what we believe in and those types of things all align. but then the skill set, we each brought something to the table. And he can speak in a little bit to what he was doing at the time once he actually left Grand Rapids and went back to his hometown of Kansas City. But it just, I think through discussions, because mine was going well and because where he was at, although things were going well, it just made sense to take a crack at it and start a second location in his hometown.
I love it. I love it. Well, we're going to get back to you, Len, on and pick it up from there. Devin, give me that backstory on your history since 14.
Yeah. So, and it's funny because, I can't say this enough. We're just so blessed to not only have successful business, but like doing it and like who you do it with. And that is not, we do not take that for granted by any stretch of the imagination. I think our wives think we work harder at this,
and or should you? So
this relationship, but anyway, so I moved back to Kansas City and started a search and research firm for Fortune 500 companies, and honestly had not ever been better. It was going incredible. And it's funny, I'll never forget this day. It was actually September 11th, about to have our first child. And I don't know, something came over me like I've never had in my life that just, and what it was really this is my business was incredibly successful, but you had to start over with new projects. Every time you started one, you had to start another one. And it was incredibly lucrative. But at the end of the day, I didn't really own anything. And I had obviously kept in touch with Len, understood what he was doing. And I called him shortly after that. And I was just incredibly unsettled in the midst of things going well. And I said, I can't believe I'm about to ask you this, but can you help me start a janitorial company? And at the time we weren't joining. I started it in Kansas City. And the first thing I realized is I didn't have anything to sell. And so I started, and, think about this, from my parent-in-laws to people around me, I was leaving a very lucrative business in their eyes, going and cleaning toilets. I mean, basically, I was out at night, and they had all thought I was absolutely out of my mind. And
nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I want to start a cleaning business.
Nobody does. But the one thing I realized real quickly is I'm a sales guy, really look to figure out how to differentiate between other companies. That's probably, if I have a strength, that's it. And so I said, I got to figure this out. And so what I decided is I had a little connection to the religious world. My dad was a Baptist minister of a very large church in Kansas City. Not the one.
More than a little connection, Lance.
Yeah, a little connection there. But it wasn't about
the truth comes out.
No, he wasn't even alive at the time. It was more about just understanding the environment, and understanding the culture, and understanding how important that was, and being more of customer service than just cleaning. And I also understood the traffic and how it was really community center, not just people come for Sunday. And so I decided really early on, I was gonna own the market. And that's kind of how mine kicked off, and I landed.
Then he realized he didn't need a little help, Lance.
Yeah, that's right. Definitely.
Too busy.
Hey, one thing good is that I always need Len. I can outsell my capabilities.
I love it. Outkick your coverage is my favorite expression. So Len, let's pick it up from there. I want to know, and look, our listeners are people that are maybe about to explore franchises or business opportunities. What was your initial vision? Like when you knew as a marketing rep and other things you were doing, how did you really come up with this? I mean, is this just a need that you saw arise and said, I'm just doing this?
Yeah, for sure. So just real quick, with the company that I went to, it actually was a young company that was growing this minute as far as Carter Marketing. That was the name of the company that I was with. and lots of good energy, lots of good vibe, multi-state territory. It was where you would want to be in your early 20s, just out of school. But there was something that just gnawed at me. You know, I could see, as good as it was going and as much as I was enjoying it, there was just immediately this sense of not doing it for myself, you know? And so because I had touches early on when I started school in the cleaning business, I started inquiring. As I was going around to different offices, I was just simply inquiring about their services, kind of, you know, what they were about. And I just recognized right away that it really was an unsophisticated business in my eyes. And my perception was just a lot of, I'll just say, older people that have been doing it a while and just seemed kind of dry and boring. And I literally said, boy, if you could just bring some energy, some solid business principles, and really some sophistication to this industry, I think you could knock it out of the park. And so those thoughts crept in, and quite honestly, like Devin said, when he said about they thought he was nuts for doing it, when I told the company I was with that I was leaving to start a cleaning company, they thought I lost my mind. You know,
Yeah.
they did. And so I didn't care though, you know, I wanted to do something for myself. And I was looking at some other things at the time, you know, just thinking of entrepreneurship and what I could get into. But ultimately, because of the low cost, you know, I was young then. It's not like I had a lot of money, but the low cost and knowing there was such a need for it, I went for it.
You know, it's funny what you just said. And you know, when consultants, franchise consultants and brokers like myself have a first conversation with a candidate and we find out all about what they're looking for, it's, you know, sometimes people do have industry preferences. Most people don't initially say, I want to do commercial cleaning, as we mentioned earlier.
Yep.
You know, they talk about maybe a food business because it seems like a sexy business that the whole family would enjoy. And at the end of the day, it's still a ton of work and a lot of variables. But the interesting thing after the first phone call is I've learned over the years, and it's kind of common sense, what happens when people get off that first phone call with me? They tell all of their friends, their spouse, if they have one, their family, best friend, their kids, and they say, I just talked to this guy, Lance, about all of these franchises, and I could be my own boss. And what do they say to them? What are you, nuts? You don't have any experience. You don't have any knowledge in that. And so that is my story that I talk about all the time. So, I mean, I love that you tell that's your real story. I mean, that's really what happened, but that's what happens to virtually every entrepreneur. Somebody tells them they're absolutely nuts.
Yep.
So I want to get into the next most important thing, which is, where did the idea of franchising come from? How did that come about? What was your experience, both of you for that matter, with franchising, and how did that come about?
I'll let you take that to begin with, Len.
Well, for me, quite honestly, is because, you know, I had success early on, and then Devin and I, as we team up, decide to obviously start that second location. And because we were then successful there as well, I think for me, that's what started us down the road of, hey, why not duplicate this? You know, I think early on, when we did decide to franchise, we learned very quickly, although it's the same industry, it is a whole nother business. It's not the same as your corporate locations, obviously. But but for me, and I will say this, one other element, Lance, is one of the things I've really enjoyed about being in business for myself is seeing others being developed and reaching their goals. You know, whether it's our corporate locations, people that started out at a certain position and they were able to advance. There's a lot of value for me personally that I see in that happening. And there was an element in the franchising world to be able to do the same thing. You know, those people that come into it where they were told they're nuts, I love to see them succeed, right? I mean, it's that there is a part of that you enjoy.
And Len, obviously you knew at that point, and Devin, that you can teach these folks a lot better. I mean, you've already made the mistakes, whatever those mistakes were. You've made those mistakes. You know what equipment you need. You know what equipment you don't need. You know how to sell it, how to build that relationship, and most importantly, how to nurture and keep that relationship, obviously, right?
No,
No
there's no
question.
question. And part of what we realized when we went to 2 locations is we were together but still apart, meaning I was running a location, he was running a location, and we really didn't have the magic of us together yet, because it was really about me running an entire location with my skill sets and his with his, which, as you have already realized, are very different and very distinct. I think by franchising, we could really come together and really help franchisees to take both our skill sets and put them together.
Yeah, one mission and one vision. And one thing that we didn't bring up yet specifically, and let's see who's going to take this one. Let's talk about what is and who is Corporate Cleaning Group. I mean, you have a very specific niche, so that's done well for you over the years. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I think there's some very distinct differences. Number one, to be honest, and probably the thing that I think both of us are proud of, is just our culture. We have a got your back culture, and we treat our franchisees like family. We talk about joining our family from day one, and it is carried out. We are so dedicated into nurturing our culture, from our franchisees to employees. We have people that most their job is either franchisee engagement or employee engagement. We do contests, people win trips. We have in a couple of weeks a virtual happy hour where we're all getting together. So number one,
but you send bottles to people in advance for the virtual happy hour.
We do actually. We
Yes.
send huge baskets of. We actually do send happy hour baskets, and I think it really.
We don't like there to be any excuses as to why they can't be on the call. We give them everything they need.
Yes.
That's right.
We'll send you a bottle. You better participate.
That's right. But really the key, it seems kind of fun and silly and so on. But the bottom line is, Len and I are dedicated to grow business, to do it right, to do it the right way. But I'll tell you one thing: the minute that we aren't having fun, we're both out. We just are. We just, we're at the point that we're going to have fun doing it, or we aren't going to do it. And so number one, it's our culture. Number two, I would say, is our support. We have, and it really goes back to our skill sets. We have dedicated teams, one that he runs, one that I run in sales and marketing. He runs operations. And I just can't explain or articulate the fact that it's not just, yeah, we support. If you have a question, let us know. We are intricately involved with everybody's businesses. We have a whole sales team that is driving leads to them, that is doing emails, calls, LinkedIn, postcards. We know their numbers, where we're supposed to, their goals, their KPIs. And we literally, my team is willing them to get each year to their numbers. And then Len is on the other side with his team, supporting them and and I'll let him speak to that, but the technology and the staffing and all the stuff. Now, know that he doesn't have a job unless my team's doing, our part. Remember that, Lance. It's sales comes first.
He's saying I rely on you.
Len, I like that. I like that sort of notice he threw out there.
we what's good is we have a little banter back and forth.
Yeah.
You know how it is, Lance. All the sales guys usually get the glory. So.
That's the easy part, right, when you have a great model like you guys do. So tell me, Len. So CHEW is an acronym.
It is.
And so, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, so as we always say, we really have a niche market strategy, where we focus on a few markets. Certainly one being the churches, and then also healthcare and education. And then we also have, just the general work environment, of
warehouses and distribution.
Yeah, and things like that. So it's just an acronym for really our niche markets. But at the end of the day with those, what it is they all have special needs. They all have different kind of needs. And so we have built our services in each of those niches around those needs. So not only are we able to sell that, but then deliver, a really good end product.
Isn't it funny that as you do, let's say churches, I am sure when you're getting a new account or a franchisee is getting an account for a church or any other religious institution, if you will, or place of worship, they're inevitably going to ask, well, do you do other places like this? Isn't it funny? Like everybody always wants to know that you can handle their specific building. I always find that funny. So clearly you're dominating in those niches.
Yeah, you brought up the largest church in North America, and he used to always say to me, it's like, and he kind of ribs me, we've been dealing with each other for 20 plus years, and I don't know if you guys really clean that much better. And he jokes around, which he knows we do. But he does say, the thing that makes you so different is you understand the lingo, you understand the traffic, the ins and outs, our business. And he says, I get calls all the time of people that just say, hey, can I stop by and shoot you a bid? And this, this is a 400,000 square foot building. You don't just stop by and give a bid. And literally, it's funny. Every 3 years or so, he'd say, I just need to do a bid to keep everybody honest, and he'd come back and say, oh, you're so frustrating. I can't even get somebody to give me a bid because it's so complicated. I'm like, that's perfect. But literally it's, people think something like a church, they come on Sunday, it's 7 days a week from 7 a.m. till midnight, those buildings are used. And so one of the things that are key back to, one of our strong suits is customization. We don't treat a surgery center like a church, like we do a school, like we do a manufacturing facility. We really come in and build a program that puts the right people in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. And you won't find a lot of companies do that. They do it the same. They may do churches and they may clean schools, they may clean surgery centers, but the thing is they approach it all the same way. Yeah. And from the time they talk to us, from their marketing material to the bid to the service is customized for their flow of traffic in their facility.
So how many franchisees do you have these days?
Currently, so we have 10 franchise locations and then 2 corporate offices.
All right. And what would, we're about to talk about the process. That's my next question is, if Devin, you can describe the franchise process. And I love talking about validation, the opportunity for a candidate to have conversations with existing franchisees to ask questions like, hey, Len and Devin seem unreal. I mean, it seems like this picture that they paint, everything is just amazing. So tell us the real truth. And obviously you have some amazing franchisees that think you have just an outstanding brand, obviously, and they're making money. So let's talk about the process. Let's talk about validation. Let's talk about the fact that they have the ability to make some nice money too.
Yeah, for sure. I'll start with the process and then go to Len. As you know, Fran Defco helps in the development process with us. So they take several steps of the process with just intro calls to then going to an FDD call with education and an overview. Obviously there's paperwork in there and getting the FDD and so on to them.
The franchise disclosure document for those listening that are like, what the heck is an FDD? Required by franchise law by the Federal Trade Commission. Okay,
you got it. Thank you. And then we get to validation pretty quick. And we want to, because that is our strength. We can talk till we're blue in the face and about our brand, but we want them to hear from our franchisees. We have tremendous validation. And then we go to a financial call, and some people don't have this call. And it's important to us because we want them to understand what it takes to run a business and what it takes financially to run a business. And then we have somebody just go through the whole process with them, talk about what it takes for financing and so on, what they have, and just working through that whole process with them just puts them at ease, and honestly puts us at ease of, and they're in the right spot or what they need to do to get there. So that's an important call for us.
And it's a very low cost investment, guys. So generally for a territory, it's how much all in, including some working capital and the franchise fee?
So our franchise fee is $49,000. And then really, the capital that's needed, which I love about our industry or this business, is really for the most part, the payroll that's needed as you start to take on accounts. You need to bankroll, obviously, your payroll. There's some, the equipment that that's needed. It's not all that costly. So, somewhere really around another 25 to 35,000 in working capital, beyond the franchise fee.
So all in, you can get started potentially, including some working capital for $80,000 ish, somewhere in that neighborhood.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely in that range. And remember, everybody gets caught up on the people side or the equipment side, but remember, you can really organically grow because you don't have to hire anybody or buy equipment or buy supplies till you land an account. And then you hire for that account. And then when you land another one, you grow more. So it's a great way to organically grow.
Yeah, I love it. No, that's fantastic. So validation, we know is fantastic. And obviously in the franchise disclosure document, every franchise disclosure document, there's 23 items. Item 19 is the earnings claim. And you have one that's rather robust. Who wants to
I'll do that. I'll just speak to it. Yeah, as you know, and for those of you out there, we're limited to what we can say by that item 19, but we're really, proud of it and super excited about it because when we average our locations together, the gross revenue is 1.7 million that they're doing. With
a lot of cleaning.
Yeah, no, for sure. And the average gross margin is 830,000. So, we're really proud of that, and excited to share that anytime we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And during validation, that's when I always suggest you ask questions to franchisees. Would you do this again? When did you start cash flowing? When did you make your money back? What kind of money do you pay yourself? What's left over at the end of the year? All the questions that everybody's thinking. But at the end of the day, the beauty of franchising is that this is a hot brand that people really enjoy. And I love the culture you built. I mean, it's obviously a fantastic thing. So what's next? What are the hot territories you're looking to fill at this point?
Yeah, so I think that's the great thing about our business, and we to be perfectly honest, owning our own corporate locations probably at some point was a blessing and a curse. The blessing is that there's no franchisor more connected to our franchisees than us because we're in the business. But I think because of that, very intentionally did not go out and aggressively develop. That's nothing against our brand. It's just a choice we made because of, we have 400 something employees between the two of us. We have tons of moving parts, tons of revenue coming in. So we didn't have to sell franchises like gadgets. But now that we've joined with Fran Defco, they take over that whole process for us. We're in a position that we really want to hit it running. So really what's great is we are an established brand with tons and tons of territories open. Good combination.
So when you guys think of your top 4 franchisees, what are the traits that they all have in common?
Yeah, so I'll take that one. For me, I use the word likable. They're all very likable.
Like you guys.
Hopefully, yeah, hopefully. But it really does. That's one of the very first things that comes to mind. And we always talk about, ideal candidates. And when we look at them, they're just personable people that have good people skills, because there are, different conversations that need to be had, whether it's with who's on your staff at different levels, whether it's customers, potentially vendors, and you have to, as we always say, you have to meet these people where they're at, right? And so it takes a skill set to do that. So they have people skills. I will also say, as I'm thinking it through, it's ironic, or maybe it's not. It's interesting how your most successful franchisees follow the process and follow your system. What I would say is, we're big in core values. We have 6 of them, but I'm just going to tie it into a couple. When I think of them, the most successful, and I'll say the very most successful franchise that we have happens to be our first, is buys into everything that we're doing. So in our core values, we talk about, which is really big, everyone and everything matters. I mean, he lives that. He believes everyone and everything matters, from the big picture down to the smallest detail.
Love it.
We talk about even evolving and adapting as part of our core values. It's so interesting because our top performers, and they're the ones that are ready to evolve and adapt. They're not the ones that are saying, hey, we've been doing it this way, we've been successful. They're the ones that are the most ready to evolve and adapt. So so when you ask me, I would just say, personable, certainly, the people skills, just being a well-rounded, solid individual that has a little bit of people or management skills, maybe a little bit on the sales side, but just really well-rounded.
And the follow-up to that for both of you is, and Devin, if we missed anything on the first question, please jump in as well. The follow-up is, when you look at, again, your top franchisees, or all of them for that matter, throw out some careers. What did they do beforehand? I would imagine some of them did have some management or leadership skills. Some of them might have been in sales, but what did they do before joining you as a franchisee?
Well, I think that's what's so great is they're so well-rounded in their backgrounds. And that's what we like about it. It really goes back to what Len just said. Those are the skill sets we're looking for. What I would say is the number one is they are business people that got into janitorial, not janitorial people that got into business.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest misconception about our business, because most of the models out there, frankly, are the opposite of us. They are people that got into janitorial and said, I want to do this myself, get in. And so what it creates, and there's a need for this. People that are in janitorial that don't want to work for somebody else, and they start small little businesses, and the franchisor gets business for them and they do the work, and there's a need for that. But that's not our model. Our model is taking business people and bringing sophistication into a really unsophisticated arena, and where people might use that as a negative. Oh gosh, janitorial is not very sophisticated. We embrace it because it allows us to shine. And so to your original question, we have a individual that was and actually just sold and followed his plan completely to retirement, and worked for the top floor at Hallmark Cards and was a top executive. We have somebody that was a sales, and he was in purchasing, and his smallest contract was $10 million.
Wow.
So really sophisticated people. We have one of our newer franchisees, but we just absolutely love him, was a director of sales for a staffing company. And that was a great combination of sales, and we obviously have a staffing component to it. So you can just go on and on of different backgrounds. It's really not so much the background, is just well-rounded, business-oriented, sophisticated people. And I'll jump on one other thing that Len said, that embrace our core values. One thing that kind of took off, it's kind of a funny story, but we revamped our core values and repackaged them, and also present them at Meet the Team, which is our discovery day. And when I talk about core values, I talk about seeing them through everything through the lenses of our core values, and really trying on glasses, because if they don't fit for you, it's not going to work. And so we were prepping for Meet the Team, and something came across my desk of these glasses. And so our franchise ops person, I sent him over. I'm like, this is about the cheesiest idea I've ever come up with, but to make the point. And so just to show you, so we came up with those. But what?
Wait for those that aren't watching the video and are only listening to the audio, Devin just put on some really goofy glasses.
But they have our core values on them. And, it was really just a fun kind of cheesy type deal. But to Len's point, all of a sudden, it's just taken all this momentum, and now everybody's putting core values on their walls, and they're going to take pictures of their employees in the field, and we're doing contests with our core values, and it's just really embracing what the company's about.
It's so important to have fun, as you guys already said. And I had a gentleman that he was a CPA and smart guy, owned some real estate, and he wanted to buy a franchise to put in one of his shopping centers. And to be honest, he was just an ass. And I put him in touch with a couple of brands that he found very interesting. And he got kicked out of the process in the first brand. I even got him a second chance and re-explained to him that, you have to be willing to follow the process. You have to be willing, it's like dating, it's a two-way street. You have to like each other, and people aren't liking you. So you might want to just consider not doing a franchise.
Well, and to that point, you had asked about the process. The last part of the process is Meet the Team, and we bring in our whole team and have a day and a half. And what's really funny about that is that first day, we do go-karts. And we bring everybody out and do go-karts and go to dinner. And one of the things that we talk about at that dinner is that might have seemed like a waste of time. That might have seemed cheesy. That might have seemed, this is the most important time for us, because we want you out of the office. We want you, and we want to make sure we like you, honestly.
Right.
Because that's what we care about, the example you gave. I'm sorry, we aren't signing up an ass. We just have no interest.
Well, and everybody has to get along. I mean, the franchises that I've been part of, it's like a big family. Not only do you have the corporate office and all the mentors there, but you also have the best practices of the top performing franchisees that you're going to pick the brains of throughout the process of you being a partner in this brand, so to speak. So,
and the last thing I'll say there is I think part of it has to do with the fact that Len and I work so well together and have such a good relationship. I think because that's the foundation of what we have, that we have no interest of bringing somebody in our family that we don't feel that way with.
Well, I could certainly say it. The obvious is exactly what you just said. The leadership that you guys, the work that you've put in, and the leadership that you exhibit and do daily is obviously a huge contributing factor in the success of the brand. Let's talk a little bit about marketing. We talked about it earlier. A lot of people look at franchises. The beauty of a franchise, we know, is everything is covered, everything is thought of. And on the marketing side, customer acquisition, a lot of people stress over. How are we going to find customers? How quickly are we going to be able to ramp up? So what do you do to kind of fast track a new franchisee on the marketing side to get them business?
Yeah, so we do a lot of really cool things. So the thing that we learned early on in franchising and really was an eye opener for me, because I am a salesperson at heart. A lot.
We know that.
And to throw it in.
Len's a perfect example as he's tremendous in front of customers and tremendous in being one-on-one with a customer, but he would never call himself a salesperson. And the difference is that what we learned early on is there's a lot of people that can be in front of customers and follow our model. There's very few hunters. And that's what we learned very early on in the process is we were going to take the hunting from the franchisee and drive that. And so we start literally from day one. We develop a boost program for them where we instantly do their prospect development for them, figure out exactly what their prospects are in the area, and we turn on all faucets, inside sales, emails, postcards, LinkedIn, and they all work together. We're sending in, we're making a phone call, inside sales, and then saying, hey, by the way, I just sent you an email that covers what I just said on the voicemail, and they're all linked together. And we literally start from day one. They're assigned a sales coach that literally from day one is talking to them about their KPIs, what we're trying to hit in 3 months, 6 months, a year, up to 4 years. We're building a plan and we know exactly where they need to be in 6 months, a year to 4 years. We have a goal in mind from the day one. That coach is literally willing them to get there, helping them on site with meetings to begin with bids, the whole 9 yards till they get up to speed. But then we are continually and never stop driving leads to them. So,
hey, Lance, can I just make one comment on that?
Of course, Len.
Because he referenced me and not being sales, and it is interesting, just that piece of hunting. So when I started, I mean, it was me forcing myself out the door, forcing myself, psyching myself up to make a phone call. I mean, it was. I had to talk myself up, in order to do it, because it just wasn't my comfort level. But for somebody to call me and say, hey, you have a meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. with this prospective customer, I'll do it all day long. Go in knowing they're ready for me, and to just have a conversation, is nothing for me. I enjoy that piece. So taking that hunting out of the equation, I think for a lot of people is huge.
Yeah, no, that's awesome that you guys are handling all that. Devin, were you going to add anything else to that?
Yeah,
because I was just going to ask both of you guys for final thoughts. This was amazing.
Yeah, I'll just finish up with not only do we handle that, we have a CRM that they instantly are a part of, that they can put their information in.
Customer relationship manager.
Correct. Thank you. Sorry, I'm using acronyms.
That's okay.
And then also even a cloud-based proposal software that everything is on there. They literally only have to make 5 or 6 changes to the proposal. It's paperless to the prospective customer. They can see when they're actually going through the proposal. Just everything we do is really sophisticated, very professional, and just a piece that franchisees love.
I love it. And they'll hear that in validation. I know that for sure.
Yep, for
awesome.
Sure.
Len, final word for the day? Can
I get more than one word? And I'll be quick.
Of course.
Because I think, the cleaning industry gets just a bad rap at times, and I think of, us talking about these executives and maybe leaving a role that they're in and going to start their own business. And the truth is, saying you're going to open a cleaning business isn't all that glamorous or sexy, it isn't. And I dealt with that, saying, hey, what you do, and got a business. Yeah, what is it? And, I'm in the cleaning business, not super exciting. But at the end of the day, it's a phenomenal business. It has been from day one where, there really hasn't been anything in the economy that's affected us, whether it was the recession, back in 2009 or so. COVID, there has been really no blips in the road as far as just sustaining your business. The other aspect that I'll say, two things real quick, is because of what Devin alluded to earlier, the residual aspect, where you're in there and you're not reselling these customers every day or every week. It's residual business, and those checks flow in on a monthly basis, which is huge. And then the last aspect is, because you're getting multiple accounts to service, and also with our niche strategy, you're diversifying. So as you build your business, if something goes wrong in one area, it really doesn't affect you all that much. So it's a really good business. It's a solid business, and can make an average of 1.7 potentially, right, on our item 19.
Yeah.
I'll just say that, and I'll leave it at that.
No, I love that you brought that information up and the residual income, because that's true. When you're hunting, as you guys said earlier, in your vernacular, it's your account to lose at that point. If you service the heck out of it, just like you gave the example of the very large church. And look, franchising, there's a lot of people that talk about support. They talk about marketing with franchising, brand awareness, and the old how-to. And in the support, I mean, look what happened during the pandemic, when every independent business owner in America is trying to figure out what the heck a PPP loan is.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about that piece. You guys figured that out and you helped your franchisees.
I mean, I will say, we ended up assisting, if not all, most of the locations, so we have what we believe is a phenomenal finance director in Andrea Lilly. And she very much, from day one, dove into it and was, waiting for things to pop, understanding what the flow was and what you're looking for, and had been in contact with all locations and assisted, and I know it was a big help to them. Found great value in that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Just another added value piece from being with Corporate Cleaning Group and being in a franchise system. Gentlemen, you have been fantastic. It was wonderful hosting both of you, and I look forward to seeing you guys again very soon.
Lance, thank you very much. It was great.
Yeah, thanks so much, Lance.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for listening today. Please like, follow, and subscribe. This is Lance Graulich. Until next time.